Imagine the smell of the morning mountain air mixing with the dust of an old factory, and hear the rumble of wooden carts rolling through narrow Austrian streets. It was there, in the small town of Thal, that Arnold Schwarzenegger was born. He was a simple boy with a big dream. His world was modest. A small room with wooden floors and walls, an old bicycle that he repaired himself, and the first muscles that appeared from working on the farm and in the factory. Small joys, first victories over oneself, and a dream of greatness that seemed unattainable shaped his character. From childhood, Arnold learned to see more than what was around him. He lifted heavy things, trained muscles with hands that did not yet know how to properly hold a barbell, and dreamed of a world where he could become strong, influential, self-confident. His small gym was a room with wooden stands, old mirrors, the smell of sweat and iron. There he felt the first taste of victory. And within these walls was born something that would later change his life. But life did not promise an easy path. Every day was a struggle, strict discipline, constant restrictions, doubts from those around him. "Why do you need these dreams, boy?" his friends and even relatives asked. Little Arnold listened, but did not give up. He understood that great goals require sacrifice and time, and true character is formed through difficulties. His childhood was full of small but significant moments. His first barbell lift, his first victory at a local competition, his first impression of a book about American heroes. And then, in these humble circumstances, he realized one thing. To change your life, you need to start acting now, even if the world seems big and scary. It was here, in Tali, amidst the sounds of the factory, the smells of wood, and the cold morning air, that the story of a man who taught the world to dream in a new way was born. A little boy with big dreams did not yet know that America, cinema, politics, great ups and downs awaited him, but he was already taking the first step into the future, a step that would one day become a legend. His story begins with these simple but heartfelt moments, and it will teach us all. It doesn't matter where you were born, it matters where you are going, and how bravely you are willing to move forward. Because true success begins with a small step, even if it is taken amidst the dust of an old factory and a cold mountain morning. Imagine a plane flying over the Atlantic Ocean, and in it was young Arnold, without knowledge of the language, without acquaintances, but with a heart full of dreams. The American dream seemed huge, and at the same time it was frightening to the core. He arrived in Los Angeles, and everything around him seemed too big, too fast, too foreign. The hotels, the streets, the studios. It was a completely different world, where his Austrian accent and unfamiliar manner of communication became an obstacle. The first days were full of defeats. Working on construction sites, mopping the gym floor, training for hours in cold halls, where the smell of sweat and iron mixed with the feeling of someone else's life. He doubted. Was it worth leaving home, family, his native Austria? Were these dreams of big stages and Hollywood premieres really worth enduring such a life? But crises become turning points. Each defeat taught him a lesson. To achieve greatness, you must not be afraid of falling. He trained more, talked to people, observed and learned. His body grew, his muscles became stronger, and his character became more tempered. The first title in bodybuilding in America did not come immediately. At first there were second and third places, criticism, doubts from those around him. But Arnold understood one simple thing. Failures are not the end, but the beginning of a new path. In one of the old gyms, he stood in front of the mirror, feeling tired all over, but at the same time, a thirst for life. "I can do anything. I will be strong. I will not give up," he whispered to himself. It was the moment when doubt turned into fuel for a future breakthrough. And although he didn't yet have fame behind him, he was already learning the most important thing, not to let fear determine your future. Every hard night, every fall, every skepticism from others became a step towards a great transformation. Because even in an unfamiliar country, Amidst the noise of cars and the smell of unfamiliar streets, the little Austrian boy was learning to become a man who would one day teach the world to dream. Imagine Los Angeles in the early 70s. The noise of cars on the streets, the smell of seawater and fried popcorn from movie theaters, huge movie posters glowing at night, and young Arnold, who still has no idea what awaits him. He came here without money, without friends, but most importantly with a dream. Every day, he worked several jobs to have money for rent, food, and a gym. He cleans the gym floor, carries loads, sometimes even carries furniture. All this between workouts, to the roar of air conditioners and the smell of sweat from other athletes. His body grew, but so did the obstacles. The American language sounded foreign. The film industry was closed and cold, and his accent caused smiles and distrust. But Arnold knew that only through perseverance could one achieve the goal. He trained 5 to 6 hours a day, counting every repetition, perfecting every movement. And in the evenings he sat in the library, studying English, watching how people who had already achieved success behaved. His first breakthrough came in bodybuilding. Winning Mr. California opened the door for him to professional sports, but real recognition came after winning Mr. Universe. Imagine the moment when he stood on stage, under the spotlights, and felt all the applause of the world falling on him. His body is the result of years of struggle, and his spirit is the result of the trials and doubts he has overcome. But the American dream was not limited to bodybuilding titles. Arnold wanted more. He wanted to change his life, to become part of the cinema, this big world where dreams become visible on the screen. He started with small roles, even episodic, often rejected by agents because of his accent or appearance. He was offered to be just a muscle burden, not the hero of the story. But he did not give up. He was sure one day he would become someone who could not be ignored. And then he met people who believed in him. Trainers, actors, producers. They saw not only muscles, but also a person who was able to change the world around him. Arnold began to be photographed for magazines, participate in advertising sports equipment, create small but important projects that brought him confidence and financial independence. Every picture, every victory in sports, every small role in the movie, all these were steps towards a big dream. In these moments, he remained a good man. His heart was not changed by success. He helped young athletes, supported his family, sent money home. He learned to combine personal success with caring for others. And even as his life began to change, Arnold remembered that true greatness is not in the title or fame, but in the ability to remain human. This part of his journey taught him something important. Even in a big city, amidst the noise, competition, and initial successes, you need to remain true to yourself, your principles, and your dreams. Small steps forward are what shape future breakthroughs, and Arnold proved this with his perseverance, hard work, and kindness. Because the real American dream is not just about titles or money. It is the path that turns a small boy from a humble town into a legend who will teach the world to believe in the power of the human spirit. Imagine the smell of paint and glue in the studio, the noise of cameras and spotlights, the light of the spotlights illuminating Arnold for the first time when he enters the set. Hollywood was a huge and incomprehensible world, full of glitz, admirers, and competitors, but he was not intimidated by it. On the contrary, he felt excitement, because he knew this is where he could become who he dreamed of being. The first roles were small. His accent and huge body often caused laughter from producers and agents. "You're not suitable for the lead role," they said. But Arnold did not give up. He saw more than what others said. He saw an opportunity. He studied the language, honed his acting skills, worked on facial expressions and gestures so that his characters came to life on the screen. The first big breakthrough came with a film that seemed like a risk at first, but it was the risk that created the legend. Imagine the moment when Arnold stands on the set. The sets and special effects are buzzing around him. The crew is shouting commands, and he feels that this time his body and his soul are in sync, that his dream is starting to come to life. It was a moment of transformation, not just in his career, but also in his inner world. He becomes not just an athlete, but a symbol of self-belief, a force that can inspire others. And even as his body became a symbol of muscle and strength, Arnold remained kind and considerate. He helped colleagues, supported newcomers, sent money to his family in Austria, understanding that true greatness is not measured by the audience's applause, but by humanity. There was also a moment that became a symbol of the fact that fame does not always define a person. Arnold arrived at a hotel where he had previously been able to stay without any problems, but now, being famous, he was not allowed to spend the night near his own monument, because he was no longer just a bodybuilding star. He smiled, took a few photos near the monument, and it became a lesson. Even great people face injustice, but it is important to remain kind and humane. At this time, Arnold begins to build himself as a brand, not only in the cinema, but also in life. His image becomes a symbol of struggle, work, and kindness. He participates in charity, supports children and families, invests energy in projects that change the lives of others. His transformation is not just external, but internal, because he remains that guy from a small Austrian town who knows that true success is a combination of strength, mind, and heart. This part of his journey shows that great transformation is possible only when you are willing to take risks, learn, work on yourself, and remain a good person. Because a real breakthrough is not about being noticeable, but about inspiring and changing the world around you. Imagine the spotlights hitting the red carpet of a new movie premiere, surrounded by the noise of cameras, applause, and the wild screams of fans. Arnold stands there, a man who once traveled to Los Angeles without knowing the language, without money, without support, but with a huge dream. And here he is, and this moment is not about fame. It's about the path he took. Movies were his big breakthrough. Every role, every scene, every take were steps towards the world learning about a person who was not only physically strong, but also strong in spirit. But despite the huge success and attention of millions, Arnold remained the same kind-hearted person who started his journey in a small Austrian town. He helped young actors, supported charity projects, taught others the importance of discipline and self-belief. His personal life was also full of lessons and contrasts. The children were not at all like their father, and it was not easy to accept this. They chose their own path, their own personality, their own dreams. Arnold learned to let go of control, to be there as a mentor, but not as a shadow. He took a picture near the monument that reminded him of his journey in bodybuilding, near the hotel where he had previously been refused a night stay. It was a symbol that true greatness is not measured by titles or fame. It is in relationships, in respect for others, in the ability to remain human, even when the whole world is watching you. His global breakthrough meant not only cinema, but also an impact on culture. His quotes, training, films, and projects inspired millions of people around the world. He became an example of how it is possible to combine strength, ambition, and kindness. But despite all this, he remained modest in the little things. He always asked how his employees were doing, reminded them of the importance of family, helped those who needed support. This part of Arnold's life taught him an important lesson. Global success is not just about applause, contracts, or money. It's about the ability to remain genuine, kind, and human, even when you become a symbol to the world. And it's here, in the heart of this fame, that he continues to learn how to be not only a star, but also a mentor, a father, and an example to others. Because true breakthrough doesn't come when everyone knows you, but when you can combine success with humanity, power with kindness, influence with responsibility. And that makes his story inspiring not only for movie fans, but for anyone who dreams of greatness but strives to remain themselves. Imagine the hum of cameras, the lights of spotlights, and the ringing of phones during an election campaign. Arnold stands in the boardroom, amidst political discussions and big decisions that could change the lives of thousands of people. He is no longer just an actor or an athlete. He is a politician who seeks to bring order and positive change to the system. And at the same time, he remains a father, a husband, and a mentor who does not forget about his family. Politics brought new challenges, difficult decisions, public criticism, intrigues, and even open attacks. All this tested his strength of spirit. But Arnold learned from his own mistakes. He understood leadership is not about a team of fans, but about the ability to take responsibility for people and remain real. He always remembered his humble beginnings, the cold gyms of Los Angeles, and the first titles that shaped his character. His personal life also had its challenges. His children are not at all like him. They chose their own paths, sometimes contrary to the expectations of the world or their father. Arnold learned to let go of control, give freedom, love unconditionally, and support, even when it is difficult. He became an example that family is more important than fame, and that true kindness lies in patience, understanding, and respect for the choices of others. There were personal losses and moments that tested his resilience. But he used the crisis as fuel for growth, learning to turn pain into strength, doubt into motivation, and hardship into lessons to pass on to others. His ability to remain human amidst the trials made his story all the more inspiring. At the same time, he never stopped working on himself. Training, new projects, charity, time with his family. All this became a balance in his life. He understood that even legends must remain human, that success is not measured only by titles or fame, but by kindness and the ability to support others. This part of his journey reminds us that even when you reach the top, life presents new challenges. And the most important thing is to stay honest with yourself, support those close to you, and not lose your humanity, because true success only comes when you combine strength, wisdom, and kindness. Imagine a quiet morning in California. Fresh air, the sound of running steps in the gym, the smell of coffee and sunlight filtering through the curtains. Arnold begins his day the same way a little boy in Austria once did, with discipline, focus, and a desire to be better. His body is still strong, but now it's not just physical strength that matters. It's also mental strength, wisdom, and the ability to inspire others. Today, he continues to work on new projects, is involved in charity, trains young athletes and actors. He spends time with children, watching them choose their own path, completely different from his, but valuable and unique. He supports them, teaches them the importance of staying true to themselves, and at the same time reminds them that family is the greatest treasure in life. Arnold also finds time for himself, training, books, reflections on life and the future. He knows that true success is not only about awards, statuettes, or titles, but also about the ability to remain human, help others, and pass on experience. He does this quietly, without pathos, but from the heart, and this is what makes his story inspiring for all of us. His journey taught him several key lessons. Start small, dream big, quality above all else, adapt quickly to change, turn crisis into fuel for growth, lead, don't follow. He embodied each of these principles in his life, and they helped transform the little Austrian boy into a global legend. And if you look at his life holistically, you can see more than just movies, titles, and political achievements. You can see a man who taught us kindness, patience, and the courage to dream. A man who always remains himself, even when the whole world looks at you as a symbol. This story is not only about Arnold Schwarzenegger, but also about each of us. Because true success is the courage to change and move forward, despite everything. It is the willingness to learn, to fall and rise, to remain kind and humane in a world that often does not require it. And if we can take an example from his life, then every day becomes a chance to do something great, not forgetting about those around us and about the values that truly matter. Because Arnold's story reminds us of the main thing. A big dream begins with a small step. True strength is measured by the heart, and true greatness lies in the ability to remain a person who inspires others to become better.